There's a certain kind of man women can't forget. This kind of man is rare, not because he's perfect, but because he refuses to play by the emotional rules that most others blindly follow. Most guys either collapse under pressure to please or overcompensate in an attempt to impress. But here's what no one tells you. What often gets overlooked in conversations about masculinity and attraction. It's not kindness that women fear. It's control they can't gain. And the men they struggle to control the most are those who are emotionally intelligent. Not just intellectually sharp, not merely sensitive or well-spoken, but truly aware, calculated in thought, steady in behavior, calm under pressure. Picture this. A man who understands his emotional landscape like a mapu knows exactly what he feels, when he feels it, and more importantly, why he feels it. That kind of awareness is power, and it's exactly that power that unsettles those who want control. A woman isn't intimidated by a man who expresses his emotions. What unnerves her is a man who doesn't allow his emotions to be weaponized. She's cautious around a man who refuses to be emotionally blackmailed. One who doesn't overreact, doesn't chase, doesn't fall into the trap of pleasing others just to maintain fragile peace. He sees the game and plays it better than she does, because that man can't be manipulated. He can't be tested like others, can't be emotionally boxed in. When provoked, he doesn't explode. When ghosted, he doesn't beg. He doesn't spiral into chaos or lose his sense of self. He watches. He adjusts. He moves with precision. That's emotional intelligence at work. It's not loud, doesn't beg for attention, but it's sharp, measured, intentional. And when that kind of emotional clarity is combined with masculine calm, it creates something very few can stand against. It becomes dangerous. Not dangerous in a violent way, but dangerous to anyone trying to manipulate, provoke, or destabilize him. A man like that is grounded, steady, unpredictable in the most powerful way in this video. You're going to learn how to become that man, the one who doesn't get manipulated, doesn't get emotional over things that don't matter, and above all, doesn't get forgotten. We're going to break down 6 essential traits that separate emotionally intelligent men from the rest. These traits are what make them powerful, not through dominance, but through clarity. They're rare because few men ever take the time to master them. They're unforgettable because once a woman experiences that kind of presence, it stays with her. You'll discover exactly what to do, how to think clearly under pressure, how to move with intention, how to respond without being reactive. You'll learn how to become the man she can't bend to her emotional tactics, and the man she never sees coming until it's too late. Don't skip anything. Every trait builds on the one before it, like links in a chain. It's just one. And you'll fall back into the same cycles that keep most men confused and frustrated. But master all 6, and you'll transform the entire way women respond to you. You won't just change how you interact. You'll change how you're experienced. Let's break it down. Trait 1. You recognize emotional games. You recognize emotional games and you don't react to them. Here's a situation many couples face. You're in a relationship and she starts ... acting cold, distant. She pulls back affection. Maybe slowly, maybe suddenly. And sometimes it's not random. It's deliberate. A test, a tactic, a way to see how much power she holds. In moments like this, most men either panic, begging, over-explaining, scrambling to fix what they don't understand, or they shut down completely, retreating into cold silence and withdrawing emotionally themselves. But the emotionally intelligent man doesn't fall into either of those traps. He doesn't react blindly, pause it. He senses the shift, feels the tension in the room, and instead of responding with panic or confusion, he simply observes. He allows the emotion to rise within him without letting it take control. Then he acts not from fear, but from clarity. This ability is what women secretly fear, not because it's toxic, not because it's harsh, but because it's powerful. It's the kind of presence that can't be baited. You won't chase after affection or dance to emotional strings just to restore balance. You see the game for what it is, and you choose not to play unless it's on your terms. That doesn't make you cold, makes you centered. As Machiavelli once said, he who controls himself is harder to conquer than a city. I mean, that couldn't be more true. In a world full of men who react too quickly, who grow defensive, emotional, or angry at the slightest challenge, the man who remains calm becomes something rare, something that stands out. While others raise their voice, explain ... themselves, or try to prove a point, he stays quiet, steady, controlled. Not because he doesn't care, not because he's disconnected, but because he refuses to be dragged into chaos he didn't create. He knows the difference between reacting to defend ego and choosing stillness as a sign of strength. And when a woman sees that, she doesn't see weakness. She sees power she can't bend. Trait 2. You don't beg for validation too. You don't beg for validation because you've already chosen yourself, the emotionally intelligent. Man doesn't approach love like it's air he can't live without. He values love. He appreciates it when it's real, welcomes connection, but he doesn't chase it like it's the only thing keeping him alive, because deep down, he already knows his worth. He's not waiting for someone else to confirm. Picture this, you're on a first date. The atmosphere is light. Then she makes a casual comment. Maybe it's subtle, maybe it's sharp. A little dig at your ambition, your appearance, or something from your past. Most guys, they nervously laugh it off. They hope to stay in her good graces. They shift, fidget, smile through the discomfort. Why? Because they're seeking approval. They're trying to keep the vibe safe. But the emotionally intelligent man, he simply smiles. He pauses, makes eye contact, and replies with calm certainty. Interesting comment. Then he moves on. No defense, no over-explaining, no backpedaling. Because when you don't need validation, silence becomes confidence. ... Explain. Doesn't collapse. That calm restraint is magnetic. Why? Because it communicates one powerful truth. You don't need to be liked in order to feel valid. You've already chosen yourself. This is where Machiavelli's ancient whisper cuts through the noise. A truth only a few ever fully grasp. He who seeks to please will always serve. In simpler terms, the moment you make her opinion your anchor, you've already surrendered the wheel. You've placed your value in someone else's hands. Once you do that, it's no longer yours to control, but the man who knows who he is. He's different. He doesn't feel the need to explain himself in every moment. He doesn't argue just to be understood. He doesn't perform in hopes of being liked. If she makes a sly remark, a subtle jab, or a strategic test, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't react. He lets it pass. It's like wind brushing past a mountain. Unshaken. Why? Because he's not trying to earn her approval. He already approves of himself. And that kind of calm confidence, it's not loud. But women feel it instantly. It's the energy shift they can't ignore. While most men try to impress, he just is. He doesn't decorate himself with charm. He doesn't try to adapt or perform. He simply shows upgrounded, clear, solid. And then he lets her decide what to do with that. That's not arrogance. That's inner ... power, and that's what makes him unforgettable. 3, you read her without controlling her trait. 3, you can read her but without ever needing to control her. One of the most disarming, even terrifying things for a woman who's used to emotional control is meeting a man who truly sees through her. Not to judge, not to manipulate, but to understand. Imagine this in a long-term relationship. She gets quiet, distant. Her replies get shorter, colder. Something's clearly shifted, but it's subtle. The average man responds by either getting defensive or withdrawing completely, letting silence grow into resentment. But you ask Quince calmly, is something on your mind? She says no. You don't push. You simply nod, accept the moment for what it is, and leave space. Then later, once the emotion has passed and her armor begins to lower you, return, no accusations, no tension. Just quiet presence, that level of patience. It disarms her, because now she realizes she can't use emotion to control the tone. She can't bait you into chasing or arguing. Why? Because you're not playing defense. You're playing chess. You're aware but calm, present but unmoved. And that kind of emotional steadiness is Roran deeply unsettling. Not because it's cold or cruel, but because it removes her favorite weapon. Emotional ... confusion. The emotionally intelligent man replaces tension with transparency, and most people simply aren't ready for that. Trait 4, you handle conflict without raising your voice for you. Handle conflict without ever needing to raise your voice. Picture this, a common scene from countless relationships. There's a disagreement. Frustration builds. Emotions run high. Voices begin to rise. Accusations start flying back and forth like verbal grenades, but not from you. Instead, you speak slowly. Take a breath before you respond. You choose your words, not out of fear, but from clarity. You ask questions instead of assigning blame. You stay calm, and in doing so, you lead the tone of the entire interaction. That alone is enough to unsettle people who are used to chaos. Because here's the truth, they can't escalate you. They can't pull you into their emotional storm. You don't crumble. You don't lash out. You center yourself and stay there. You don't try to win arguments by overpowering anyone. You win by mastering yourself. And in that stillness, it's a quiet kind of strength that's impossible to fake. This is where Machiavelli's wisdom whispers again. The prince must learn how not to be good when the situation demands it. Translated, to emotional strategy, you understand timing. You know when to be soft, when to be firm, and most importantly, when to simply walk away without saying a word. You don't seek out chaos to feel alive. You bring peace. And in a world addicted to emotional dysfunction, that peace becomes both rare and magnetic. Some people will evolve to meet your calm. Others will vanish. Either way, you don't lose. Trait 5. You don't fear her feelings. 5. You don't fear her feelings. You guide them. And in doing so, you become her safe place. This is where emotional intelligence becomes undeniable, unshakable. Let's say you're dating someone new. She's strong-willed, fiery even. She challenges you, pushes boundaries, tests limits. Most men either retreat to avoid confrontation or they try to match her intensity blow for blow. But you regulate. You don't flinch. You hold steady eye contact. You acknowledge her feelings without being pulled into them. You validate without submitting. You stay grounded. And something begins to shift. Your calm becomes contagious. Your emotional leadership begins to feel like safety. Not the kind that cages or controls, but the kind that holds firm when the storm hits. Most women are used to leading the emotional tempo because no one else has the strength to. But when she meets a man who doesn't fear her storms, who can stand in the emotional fire unburned, who can lead not with force, but with presence, warmth, and clarity, she feels something different. Not dominance, not submission, but strength she can relax into. That's what truly unsettles her, because she can't control it. But at the very same time, she deeply wants it. Trait 6. You can walk away. 6. You can walk away without drama, without regret. This is the final form of emotional intelligence. The rarest signal of maturity and mastery over self. The ability to let go, not in anger, not in desperation, but with quiet strength and unwavering peace. In marriage, in long-term relationships, or even in casual dating, there comes a point, for many people, where something just doesn't align anymore. What do most people do? They explode. They assign blame. They spiral into breakdowns, fights, shouting matches, desperate apologies, or cruel parting words. But the emotionally intelligent man, he does something radically different. He faces the truth, doesn't resist it, doesn't deny it. He grieves not publicly, not loudly, but privately, with dignity. And then he moves forward, not out of bitterness, not out of pride, but out of clarity. He doesn't slam the door behind him. He doesn't try to win the breakup with games, silence, or revenge. He walks head high, heart whole, because he knows His value was never up for negotiation, and that terrifies people who've never seen it before. There is nothing more unsettling to a woman, especially one who's used to holding emotional leverage, than a man who can walk away, not look back, because it means she never truly owned him emotionally. He chose to be there. Every moment was a choice, not a need. And once the energy shifted, once the connection no longer served growth or peace, he didn't cling, he didn't beg, simply chose to step away. That kind of internal power, that kind of calm disconnection, it's unforgettable. Because in a world where most people fight to stay, he is the one man strong enough to leave with grace. And it redefines what a dangerous man really is. 6. You can walk away without drama, without regret. This represents the ultimate expression, the final form of emotional intelligence. It is the rare and powerful ability to let go gracefully, without chaos, without bitterness, and without losing control. Whether in marriage, long-term relationships, or even casual dating, there inevitably comes a moment when things no longer align, when the connection shifts and the harmony fades. Most people, caught in the storm, explode with anger, assign blame, or completely break down under the pressure. But the emotionally intelligent man, he faces the truth head-on. He accepts it without denial. He grieves quietly and privately, no public outbursts, no dramatic scenes, just a deep internal processing of the loss. Then, with clear and calm intention, he moves forward. He doesn't slam doors behind him, doesn't try to win the breakup through bitterness or manipulation. Instead, he leaves with his dignity fully intact, carrying himself with quiet strength and self-respect. And here's the truth that many women find terrifying: a man who can walk away and not look back shows a power and freedom they rarely encounter, because it means she never truly owned him emotionally. He was never theirs to hold or control. He chose to be there freely, every step of the way. And when the energy shifted, when the relationship no longer served either of them, he chose to step away. That kind of power is unforgettable. It's rare. It's deeply unsettling. And it redefines what a dangerous man really is. And it really is this simple. You don't need to raise your voice to be respected. You don't need to beg to be loved. And you definitely don't need to play mind games or perform tricks just to hold someone's attention. What you truly need is stillness. A calm, steady mind you command, not one that betrays you in moments of weakness. A heart you understand deeply, not one that controls your every move or emotion. A voice that speaks with clarity, not noise or confusion. Because when you master your emotions without denying them, when you speak with intention instead of reacting impulsively, and when you move with calm presence rather than desperate energy, you become a force to be reckoned with. Not loud, but profoundly felt. It's not predictable, but precise in every action. Not cold, but dangerous in the most disciplined, deliberate way imaginable. And here's what no one ever says out loud. A man like that doesn't just enter a room, he anchors it. He doesn't merely attract attention, he stirs something deeper. He doesn't need to perform or put on a show, because who he is already commands respect effortlessly. Women don't fear that kind of presence or power. A man like that isn't feared because he's manipulative or cruel. No. Women fear him and simultaneously crave him because he makes them feel something real, something they can't fake. He offers safety and challenge, warmth and boundaries, depth without chaos. That kind of presence breaks old patterns. It interrupts the usual games people play. It awakens honesty sometimes, even in those who weren't ready to face the truth before. And that is rare. That is powerful. That is exactly what's needed. So don't aim to be liked. Don't aim simply to be chosen. Aim instead to become grounded, sharp, aware, and alive. A man who watches more than he speaks, who listens not just to respond but to truly understand, who protects his peace as if it were a priceless treasure, sharing it only with those who have earned that privilege. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be disciplined, patient, and driven by something deeper than external validation. So, take your time, build in silence, Sharpen your words. Clarify your intentions, values, master your energy. And let the world adjust to your presence. It's not the other way around. Because a man who has truly mastered himself doesn't just rise, he reigns. He commands with quiet authority, moving through life with a calm certainty that shifts the atmosphere around him. If this message spoke to you, don't just keep it locked inside your mind. Write a comment, Evan, just a few words. Doing so helps. You remember these truths, and it might just inspire or support someone else who needs to hear it right now. If you found value in this content, hit the like button and share it with someone in your life who, in your eyes, could benefit from this wisdom today. Trust your instincts, they rarely lead us astray after all. We're all on the same journey, trying to get clearer, stronger, and more solid on the inside. So let's build minds that don't break, spirits that don't waver, and hearts that lead with unwavering strength and clarity.